Your number one hype gal here, and welcome to the weekly warm-up, your weekly dose to feel a little more confident and a lot more human. I'm Jess McDowell, and each week I'll share life updates, mindset shifts, product faves, the little things that help me stay grounded, energized, and moving and grooving. Whether you're heading out for a jog, sipping your morning coffee, or just need a midweek pick-me-up, this is your warm-up for living a real balanced life. So take a breath, shake it out, and let's dive in. Welcome back to the weekly warm-up podcast. Gosh, we are just moving and grooving over here. I am not going to lie, not really in the mood to film today, not really in the mood to record the pod, but you got to get it in because that is called consistency, discipline, and showing up for yourself. But I hope everyone had a lovely Mother's Day. My mother, Care Bear, came down from Vero Beach to spend a couple days with me, which was absolutely lovely. We did a little one hotel beach club action. We ate, we bathed in the sun, we had a good time, just spent quality relaxing moments together. No, we always have a good time. She's the best. That was that. Now we're back in action. Got some really fun things coming up this month in May. I cannot believe it is May. Other than that, we've got some fun, spicy topics to discuss. So let's dive in. A few episodes ago, we discussed how women are metabolic rock stars. We are rock stars. And especially when it comes to the oxidative phase. The oxidative phase is one of the energy system phases for our body burning energy, as well as how our body needs fuel to burn energy. I think it's a couple episodes back, maybe 4. I don't have it off the top of my head, but you should be listening to all the episodes anyways. So there's no excuses. But because of our estrogen levels, we are actually better at burning fat than men for fuel. Duh. But what the reality is that's what I was talking about in that episode, was just how men burn fuel and how women burn fuel. As I was saying, we are better at mobilizing and burning fat for fuel during exercise, especially endurance. And while men often dip into their sugar stores, which is glycolic phase, we do as well, but they do it much earlier. We stay in our fat burning zone much longer. And so today I want to talk about the why and the how of this fueling reality, because we want to be good at fat burning. And that doesn't mean that we skip the fuel, but it means we want to fuel smarter, not harder. Just like my bio always says, run smarter, not harder. And you want to think of that oxidative phase as almost like a slow burning fire, campfire log. You got the s'mores going, you're in there. You've got that red, what did we call that? When it's really red, that's the hottest part of the fire. The flames aren't the hottest part. It's where the coals are. That's what I'm talking about. That's where you get that good marshmallow melt. Okay. So now we have that in our minds, which is why Zone 2 is really great for aerobic training, but also really great for fat burning for women. And that's why we are very good at it, because our body burns fat longer periods. Even though your body is using fat, you still need a baseline of energy to keep it going, or in general, keeping that fire lit, as we were talking about the campfire logs. And for us gals, fueling this phase isn't about spiking our sugar or our glucose, because that's where then we can spike our cortisol and we can start then increasing our heart rate. But what we want to do is we want to have a metabolic flexibility. If we don't eat enough overall calories, our body won't give up on its fat stores easily. Again, we're talking about calories here. We haven't talked about type of nutrition. So what will happen is it will hold onto whatever you have in your body to burn energy and think it's in a famine. So thinking in particular for us females, for us gals, we want metabolic flexibility. And that means that we are not trying to have random sugar spikes, because one, that's going to spike our cortisol. That will also affect our heart rate. And then obviously, because we are females and we are going through a 28-day cycle when it comes to our menstrual cycle, that can also backfire on aerobic efficiency and our performance. So what we're wanting to do is we're wanting to ensure that we're having enough caloric intake. And that means that we are really, really consistent with high quality protein and healthy fats throughout the day. That way we can balance our hormones, but also too, when we do any type of endurance exercise, then our body is able to use that protein, those fats, so that energy storage, instead of just pulling from, well, it could technically be pulling from proteins in your body. So what will happen is you'll burn the fat faster, and then it will start pulling from whatever it can, your energy. And then that's where you start to deplete muscles. So you start to take away your muscle mass, your bone density starts to be affected, and then obviously your performance. So for oxidative phase, we are thinking proteins and fats. And the thing about it is that you're wanting to think proteins and fats throughout your day-to-day nutrition routine. I'm not talking pre-run and I'm not talking post-run. I'm talking for your oxidative phase to maintain consistent energy, because your body's always building energy up and burning energy, ATP, ADP, all the stuff. What you're wanting to do is consistently fueling the body. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about pre and post run. Now let's talk about the glycolytic phase. This is your beast mode phase. This is your turbo speed. This is where when you hit a steep hill or you start your speed intervals, that finish line, you're getting to that finish line of your race, whatever it may be. Your body really needs the energy now. This is bypassing, well, not bypassing, this is basically kickstarting from your oxidative phase, now going into your glycolytic phase. And it can't wait for fat to break down, because obviously you're wanting to ramp up your speed. That means you're increasing your heart rate, you're burning more energy, you're breathing, etc. And we don't want to waste any time, and it needs glucose. Glucose, aka sugar, aka carbs, aka that's where your gels come in. So this is where many, many, many women get stuck. And the reason why they get stuck is they think that, well, I'm a great fat burner, so I don't need gels or the carbs. I have been eating a lot of protein. I have been eating a lot of fats. I don't need the carbs. One, because they're afraid of eating the carbs, or two, they think that you don't need carbs for endurance training, or maybe they're more strength based, resistance based training, where that requires more of the protein. And so if they're getting into endurance training, they're not properly educated on the fact of how much we need carbs, but in general, as women, how much we need carbs. The carbs or glucose is literally your, here we go back to the campfire, since this is the analogy, but when you are making a fire, you have kindle wood. If you don't know what that is, it's basically your starter wood, okay? And that is your glucose. Glucose, that's your glucose. Roll Tide, but that is your glucose. And you can't access that top speed without having enough carbohydrates available, because what will happen is it's going to, like I talked about, breaking down that muscle tissue, and it will start basically going into your protein source. And you don't want that. You never want to have to go into your protein source, especially in your energy systems. The first source of your energy, actually, I don't want to confuse anyone. Here I go again. Here I go. I'm getting my gears going. I'm getting all excited, and I will confuse y'all. As I was saying, you can't access your top performance, your top speed, your beast mode without enough carbohydrates available. Your body will actually start to break down your own muscle tissue to create the glucose that it needs. There we go. If you've ever experienced this, it's basically when you're running and you've hit a wall. It's where your body has not been able to build enough energy or stay consistent with energy. Because as you're running, obviously we're burning energy. So if you get to a point where you're not properly fueling during your run, then what's going to happen is you're going to hit that wall. You're going to burn out because you aren't properly giving it what it needs throughout the process. So for example, if you're running and you're feeling great and you think, oh, I don't need anything, I'm good, that's when you should be fueling. Because what's going to happen is as you're fueling, you're replenishing the energy. your body's able to start to build that energy up again as you're still burning it without hitting a wall. Once you hit the wall, there's no going back. You won't be able to build it back up again. And you might as well just let your body experience what it's experiencing, slow down, stop pushing yourself, because you're just going to either injure yourself, you're going to ruin your performance, and you're not really getting anywhere. This is where I was talking about with the cortisol spikes and your hormone shutdown as well, when I was mentioning about being in the oxidative phase with your fats. So same thing. If you are just spiking your blood sugar for no reason, that's where you're getting into those cortisol spikes and your hormones are shutting down. It's about regulating your hormones by properly fueling your body in that glycolic phase with your carbohydrates, which is why having proteins and fats and carbs is so important. Now, I'll briefly break it down before, during, and after. Before your run, you're going to want to think complex carbs and protein, but do not overdo the protein, because again, your routine, your daily nutrition should have a very, very well balanced of protein and fats. Don't go right before a run and start having a ton of protein. You can actually upset your stomach and you will potentially get cramps, and it's just not going to be good for you. You want to think complex carbs that have protein in it. So if you're doing sourdough toast and peanut butter is going to have a little bit of protein in it. You know what I mean? If you're doing overnight oats, there's going to be a little bit of protein in it, but you're not heavy focused on the protein. This is going to allow your body to work in that oxidative phase and then have enough storage when you're needing it for that glycolic phase. With your complex carbs and protein, this is going to keep your blood sugar stable and you're not going to have any cortisol spikes. And this will allow you to burn in that oxidative phase, the fat burning phase, before having to grab from your carb phase, glucose, which is the glycolytic phase. Now, during a run, your brain will still run on glucose. Your body's still going to run on glucose, aka sugar, aka carbs. You're wanting to have the right amount of easy to digest carbs during a long run. Long run would be 45 minutes, 60 minutes or more. Now, that's when gels come in. That's when, if you like to have some types of gummies or snacks, whatever it is that you prefer that works well with your stomach when you are running. It could even be in a liquid form if you're drinking carbs with, electrolytes. But this is where it's going to keep your central nervous system very happy. We want that, right? Yes. And allow you to stay in that oxidative phase longer without starting to hit that wall again. So that's why it's really important during your run to fuel properly. So that way your body is still able to continue to produce energy while you're burning that energy without you flatlining. After a run, non-negotiable, you within the 30 to 45 minute marker need to replenish your glycogen stores. You need to have the carbs, you need to have the protein. The protein obviously is going to be for muscle synthesis, protein synthesis. So building that muscle mass. And then the carbs are going to be there to help build back up in your glycogen system or your glycogen stores. So that way your body is able to recover. It's able to help with those muscle tears, and you are not having to have a lot more downtime, as well as helping with injury prevention. 30 to 45 minutes. If that means you can't eat right away after a run, have something available that you can just put in your stomach, whether it be a protein shake, some more carbs of some sorts. You can do toast again if you want. You can do any type of like yogurt and granola, whatever it may be. If you're able to make a meal, that's great. But having something right away that you can put into your body is crucial. And then from there, having your appropriate meal when you're able to. But I am talking between the 30 to 60 gram marker with your protein and your carbs immediately. And before we wrap this up, I want to clarify that burning fat for fuel is different than losing body fat. Burning fat for fuel obviously is good because we're burning calories, but it's not eating at your fat. It's not cutting back on your fat. It's taking from your energy sources in your body. However, if you're properly fueling and properly allowing your body to burn the energy it needs in these systems, you will see, obviously, positive progress. But I just want you to know that you're not burning your fat, as in whatever fat is on your body, it's not eating away at it. It's taking from your energy system, your source, your energy sources, but it still has a positive effect. And if you are under fueling, you're going to have high cortisol. You will notice that in your face. If you have puffy face, swollen face all the time, you will obviously notice that in your energy and your moods. You will notice it by having what I call a little pudge right in the lower abdomen area, which also is visceral fat. And that is fat that stores from hormones, from stress. Obviously, there are other indications as far as age goes and ensuring that you're getting blood work done and insulin levels. But in general, and for this purpose, visceral fat area, that is from high cortisol. So you'll notice those things. You'll also notice any types of cramping or being too sore all the time. That is because you're not fueling properly and your body's not able to recover. Now that y'all are going to be fueling queens and you know your energy systems inside and out, go out there and make it happen. I guarantee you, you will see such a massive difference. And like I said, if you've been listening to my podcast episodes, there are definitely episodes that I've talked about with the Zone 2 training and episodes that I've talked about how to properly fuel your body with gels as well. Or I'm going to plug, you can work with me for run and endurance coaching and mentoring. And then you'll really learn how to do it right and you'll become a pro. You'll be podium like I do all the time. I want to talk about coffee, cortisol again, surprise, 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 and the female body. Because one thing I have noticed is that some people like to have black coffee before a run or an espresso before a run. Some obviously do, some don't, blah, blah, blah. What I'm saying is there has been definite talk of whether or not to have coffee or not before a run. I personally am going to say no because of the cortisol that will then backtrack your run. When you drink coffee, you're triggering your adrenal glands to pump out cortisol. And let's be real, I'm aware that cortisol isn't the end all be all. And I'm also aware that everything in life spikes cortisol, including the crazy thoughts that I have in my head right now as I'm talking. Because endurance running spikes cortisol, we're trying not to double up on it. For women, especially during the luteal phase of our cycle, aka our hormonal cycle, our bodies are already in a high state of internal stress. If we're going in and layering a double shot of espresso on top of that, and then a hard run, your cortisol levels are just going to get stuck in a high position. And that's where your body then starts to signal to be in survival mode. Again, spiking inflammation, muscle breakdown, even stalled weight loss despite high mileage. And that's what I was talking about with the visceral fat, or you holding on to fat because your body is just trying to be in this fight or flight mode and doesn't know when the next time it will be properly fueled, or doesn't know the next time it's going to be able to have this low cortisol level or this calming, chill the fuck out moment. I like caffeine. We all like caffeine. I like a Celsius. Don't get me wrong. I'll have a Celsius before a workout. I'll have a Celsius before a run. I'll have a Celsius instead of a coffee. Caffeine, I get it, is a stimulant. Caffeine is, again, something that would spike cortisol. And I am aware that having caffeine pre-run and during run can also counteract by making your body work harder with its heart rate. When it's spiking the cortisol levels, then it's burning energy more. And then you're starting to, again, hit that wall or burn out quicker. But in the sense of the coffee, I would just say wait till after you're done your run. Wait till after you're done your run. If you feel like your blood sugar is low, that's probably because your body needs glucose, not a stimulant. So if you're feeling tired, if you're feeling lethargic, if you're feeling like you don't have the right energy to go for a run, or you need some sort of spike in order to go, think glucose, think carbs first instead of caffeine, and notice the difference in how your body reacts to it, and then how your body burns when you're working out, or when you're not working out, but when you're running, and your energy levels. You will notice that you'll probably have a better performance output than just spiking your body with caffeine or coffee. If you want endurance power, you want that glycogen for your muscles. Trust me. And you're not going to get jittery. You're not going to have a spike in your nervous system. Have you ever noticed that when you do pre workout or you have a lot of caffeine before a run, you're really, amped up, you're a little jittery, your heart's kind of, higher than what it normally would be, but you feel like, oh yeah, like I am ready to go. Like this is it. And then you start running, and either you blow your wad too quickly because you get out of the gate too fast, or you start running and you realize your heart rate just spikes, and you're not even going that fast. And then you start to get nervous about that, and you start to freak out. And then you're realizing that there's just like too much of this stimulant happening. That is because you have too much caffeine and not enough glucose, not enough carbs. The moral of the story is, next time you go for a run, try not to be too caffeine heavy. Get your carbs in and see the difference in your performance, in your energy levels, in your heart rate, and how you feel afterwards. And then come back to me and let me know. Wanted to just briefly touch on the fact that it is now going into the summer months, and that means temperatures are heating up regardless of where you are in the world. If it is going into summer, temperatures are changing, especially if you are in states or countries, wherever it may be, that have excruciating high temperatures, such as Florida, living in Miami, and humidity. Our body needs to be fueled and hydrated 24/7. I am dehydrating right now as I speak because of the spit that I am talking. You are dehydrating from going to the bathroom. You are dehydrating from just walking around your home doing basic chores. You can't think of hydration as when you are sweating, or when you are doing an activity, or when you are in motion. You are dehydrating sitting. If you are not replenishing your body appropriately with enough water, but also electrolytes that have sodium, potassium, magnesium, and some chloride, you are going to have a rough summer when it comes to running. Naturally, already, depending on the time you run, it could be 6 a.m., it could be earlier than that. And the heat is still going to affect your pace, your output, your energy levels, and you're not going to feel like you were a couple months ago when the temperatures were a lot cooler. Our body relies on it to regulate its internal temperatures, especially when we're sweating. That's helping regulate from overheating. Have you ever noticed when you're really starting to get dehydrated, you get goosebumps? That's because your body is literally fighting for its life, trying to cool it down, and technically is unable to. Just like our muscles, how they want blood to provide oxygen for our output, for our performance, so we can run, our skin wants that blood so it can naturally cool us down. And when both are fighting for each other, then it becomes even more intense. And then you're putting in these high temperatures. You're obviously sweating, so you're dehydrating, and our blood is starting to get thicker. We're losing water from the sweat. Our heart rate starts to spike because obviously our heart is working faster to start pumping the blood to all the different areas in the body. And that's what slows you down. You're not losing fitness. You're not losing your groove. You are just dealing with the fact of living in a hot climate and it being summer, and that your internal cooling system is running on high. Need time to adapt to the heat, the climate changing from it being cooler temperatures to now hotter temperatures and the humidity. You're going to need at least 10 to 14 days for your body to acclimate. If you're wanting to essentially run outside throughout the summer, running on a treadmill all the time is not going to help with that. You're going to want to acclimate your body by going outside, by going on runs outside, and letting it naturally work with you and acclimate for the heat. Just like when the winter comes around, our body has to acclimate to the cold. And once that happens, we're moving and grooving. Same thing. Right now in summer, and especially if you are active and you are outdoors and indoors working out all the time, I would say you should be fueling with electrolytes at least 4 times a day, easily. You're wanting to focus on obviously the type of apparel you're wearing, not covering your heat spots, making sure that it's sweat wicking clothing. You're not wearing super dark clothes or clothes that are going to attract the heat more or trap heat. So I said attract and trap. You're wanting to make sure that you have cool towels, ice in your sports bra pre-run, post-run. Making sure that right before you run, the 20-minute marker, having like a slushy ice is really great. So if you freeze a water, but it's kind of slushy, having that 20 minutes before your run is prime because then it's going to cool your internal system and lower your core temp. But then obviously it's giving you a little extra hydration. Having obviously a cold bandana, a cold towel, anything that can keep you from overheating is really great. Again, we're not trying to have too much gear on us. So if that's something that you have pre-run or ready for you post-run, which is really great, that's going to obviously help too with any type of heat stroke after, a long run. And lastly, the most simple one, just letting your body do what it needs to do and not giving in or giving up, but accepting that temperatures are going to adjust and affect your output. And that doesn't make you less of an athlete. That doesn't make you less fit, less strong, less capable. It just means you have to adapt and you have to adjust. If you have to run earlier or later, it might have to be that. If you have to slow down a little bit, it might have to be that. If you have to adjust running indoors and outdoors, it might have to be that. Doing what you can at the end of the day to ensure that you're not only staying safe and healthy, but that these little tips and tricks and these resources are going to help you to maintain your endurance and to enjoy it and to keep doing it. Because the last thing you want to do is go out and get heat exhaustion, heat stroke, injure yourself. You're not fueling properly, so you're just consistently not able to recover. It's a nightmare. These are just ways for you to stay on top of it. And once you have that routine and once you start getting it going and you're moving and grooving, it's easy. Well, it's not easy, but you're good to go. And gals, just know, especially when you're in your luteal phase and with our menstrual cycle, it's gonna be rough at times, but let it be. Because when you get that spike, when you're in your follicular phase and the ovulation phase, let your body tear up that performance. Let your body do what it needs to do. But when you're in that luteal phase, just give it a rest. I have learned the hard way in the sense of just fighting, and it only makes you more pissed off about your stats and it only makes you more pissed off about your run, and it's not worth it. I thought this was a little interesting and funny, and I've never heard of this before. I was reading an article about the pink tax, it's called. I hate that name, loathe it. I shouldn't say hate, but I loathe it. But basically, the pink tax is where specific woman's gear or apparel is more expensive than men's. And I don't know if I believe that or not, but I just I find it really interesting because I've never even thought about that before. I've never thought about whether or not female and male gear, apparel, sneakers, whatever it may be, had a different price tag. So we need to start looking at that. I want to start looking at it. I want to start monitoring or observing it and seeing if it's true. Brands take a functional piece of equipment, let's say a hydration vest, running vest, and instead of changing the harness to fit a woman's chest, they just change the trim to teal or plum. I'm dead. First of all, that's hilarious that they're making these plum teal or plum and hike the price by $10. I don't know. We are often paying more for the visual cue that a product is for us rather than the functional engineering that actually supports our bodies. I have to witness it. I think I have to witness it to believe it because this just seems a little far-fetched to me. I'm going to read on though. GPS watches. This is one of the most egregious. Girl, go back, learn, roll tide. One of the most egregious examples. Many entry-level endurance watches are internally identical. Same GPS chip, same heart rate sensor, same software. However, you'll often see a small version marked specifically to women. Often the standard men's version comes in black or gray, while the small comes in rose gold or sand. Gross. Okay, come on. In several major tech brands, the smaller version has been priced $20 to $50 higher at launch, or it's excluded from sales that the standard models are included in. You are essentially paying a tax for having a smaller wrist, even though the technology inside is exactly the same. I don't know. I have to see this. This is what I'm trying to say. I have seen things where a certain color costs more than, let's say, black. But I assume it is because of the cost to make it versus the cost men versus female, if that makes sense. I have also seen where, let's say, for example, a running vest is on sale and it's black or white, not white, but like black and navy blue, but some of the more bright neon colors are not. I look at that like the black and the navy blue are not as sought after and the neon colors are. So why put those down when we can sell those, and let's lower the cost of the ones that are more basic if people want to buy it. That's how I look at it. I never look at it as female male, because so if there's a female running vest and a male running vest from the same brand, and the female running vest has 3 colors, and let's say all 3 of those colors are the same cost, and then a male has a running vest with 3 colors and all of those colors are the same cost, I'd have to see where it differentiates from that, meaning if there is that $20 to $50 markup or not. I'm trying to think about this watch situation now. I'm very perplexed on this. So it has the same chip, same sensor, same software, but you'll see the small version marked specifically to women. Some men have small wrists. What are you talking about? So they're saying the small will come in rose gold or sand, meaning that they're not giving that option for the other colors. Okay. So you'd have to see it that way. Is basically if they're offering the small and only specific colors, not all the colors, and it just so happens that those 2 colors, rose gold and sand, are more expensive, then I can understand that. But rose gold and sand, does it cost more to make the item? But I can see what they're saying now, and I understand that. We'll have to take a look at that. Okay, and then they talked about fabric. 5-inch, like for instance, they were talking about 5-inch running shorts. So if you go to a major athletic retailer and compare a men's 5-inch technical short to a woman's 5-inch short, you will often find the women's version is priced higher. Why? The industry excuse is usually more complex stitching or specifically liners. But when researchers look at the manufacturing cost, the gap doesn't add up. We are seeing women pay 10 to 15% more for shorts and actually use less raw material. It's a pricing strategy based on perceived value, the idea that women are willing to pay more for a specific silhouette. I mean, yeah, you're not wrong on that. Okay. Well, you know what? I can't say yes or no on this. This is very interesting. There's a nutrition one too, which I find that to be wild. But I'm going to have to start being a little bit more observant. And though I just read an article that was somewhat of a little bit of a topic, also a squirrel ADHD spinoff, it doesn't count as one of the handy dandy notebook articles that we always talk about every week or every episode. And I specifically wanted to talk about one that really stood out to me because we are talking about it a lot in this episode, and is studies reveal cortisol eats your hip muscles when levels remain elevated for too long, causing chronic hip pain, mobility issues, and weakness. And doctors miss this an estimated 83% of the time. Chronic stress is one of the worst things for your body, and not only for this muscle loss, but also it steals your libido. We don't want that. Causes weight gain, especially in the stomach and face, as I was discussing in the episode or earlier. Anxiety, depression, extreme cravings for sugary and sweet treats, brain fog, rage, overstimulation, chronic fatigue, and insomnia. And if levels remain elevated for long enough, chronic stress can even lead to autoimmune condition. I mean, as humans these days, we're stressed out over everything. Like I've said, I mean, even the people that have it all figured out are the most happy people in the world that have it all going for them have stress. Chronic stress is just killing us all. I'm constantly on my phone. I'm constantly on screens. I'm constantly being overstimulated by having to be in front of stimulating things. The best we can do is just keep our bodies as calm as possible. I used to carry a lot of stress in my shoulders, but over the years, it fluctuates between my hips and my shoulders. And there is a different type of pain that you feel when your hips are feeling stressed versus when your hips are feeling sore or tired from exertion, such as endurance training, resistance training. Then not only it's increasing our protein breakdown, so that's obviously when we were talking about protein synthesis and not being able to build muscle and sustain muscle growth, but that also too it's contributing to having mobility issues, which again is huge because as we age with our bone density and our bone mineral loss, we want to be able to have our mobility for as long as we can because that's what allows us to just do basic human movement. Anything you can to lower that stress and to make sure that your body is a well oiled machine is key. The most dangerous, oddly glorifying yet overlooked problem in the world, chronic procrastination. It's why you're stressed, anxious, depressed, and your immune system is in chaos. Here's Andrew Huberman's 7-step protocol to escape the prison of procrastination. Procrastination isn't laziness, it's a dopamine problem. Low baseline dopamine equals no drive, no matter how much you want it. Think of dopamine like a wave pool. No water equals no waves. No dopamine equals no motivation. Procrastination drains the pool every day through avoidance and stress. Carl Jung would call it the shadow of perfectionism. We don't avoid tasks because we're lazy. We avoid them because we're afraid of failing over our own idealized self image. 1, protect your sleep. Sleep restores dopamine reserves. Retweet. Miss a night equals tomorrow's tank is already empty. 7 to 9 hours isn't luxury, it's maintenance. Step 2, non sleep deep rest. NSDR. 10 minutes of NSDR can raise dopamine by up to 65%. Not meditation. Your body enters a reset state without falling asleep. I like to do that sometimes if I feel as if my body needs to relax or rest, but I can't take a nap. I'll do a reset and I'll just close my eyes and I might doze off, I might not. But after about 20 minutes or 30, yeah, I bounce back. He was saying 10 minutes. Morning sunlight, 5 to 10 minutes of early light signals your brain to release dopamine all day. Cloudy, stay out 20 minutes. This isn't woo, it's neurobiology. This isn't like woo woo, got it. Step 4, tyrosine nutrition, dopamine's building block. Foods like Parmesan, almonds, avocados, and lean meats give your brain raw material to make motivation. Parmesan. I actually thought that I wasn't reading that right, but it's true. Step 5, daily movement. Motivation and movement share neutral circuits. Exercise isn't just for muscles, it stabilizes dopamine for the whole day. We should know that by now. Step 6, break the all or nothing cycle. Procrastinators think if I can't do it perfectly, why start? But dopamine doesn't respond to perfection, it responds to progress. It sure does. Step 7, know your baseline. Some people have naturally high dopamine, they start fast. Others need structure rituals to kick in. Neither is better, but knowing your baseline builds your system. I respect that. Yeah. And also how you work better. If you're better in the morning, if you're in the afternoon, evening, when you complete your tasks. I also think that that's huge, especially even if how you can complete your tasks. Right? Do you have to see it written now and marking it off? Or are you good by having it on your phone? Or do you not need it at all? How are you best with utilizing your time? And how you work better is so important. And it's not even with work, but in general with life. Procrastination isn't a flaw, it's your psyche's misguided protection system. Protection by inaction becomes its own prison. Chronic procrastination keeps your biology locked in survival mode. Herberman's 7 steps aren't motivational hacks, they are neurochemical tools to refill your tank. Start with one, do it daily, watch your prison walls collapse. Amazing. All right, it is time for products I'm digging this week. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm excited just because you know me, I'm all about skincare, and this has to do with red light. I have a red light. Well, actually, it's the different brand, but the Medicube Pro has the 4 or 5 different settings to get your face all snatched. And obviously, part of it is red light. So this is from Mido Aura brand, and it's Activate and Amplify Serum. So you apply 3 to 4 pumps to clean, dry skin, smooth evenly over the face and neck, ensuring full coverage. Begin your red light therapy session once the serum has absorbed onto the skin. Huh, can't wait. I'm definitely going to be trying that tonight. I've been taking Relief Factor. That's the brand and the product. And it is a temporary relief of minor aches and pains. I take 3 packets right now, but I've been kind of going down to about 2 to 1 packets a day. And basically, it's a natural way for your body to respond to any type of pain or aches. And it has obviously natural ingredients. I love it. I take it first thing in the morning and then typically after a workout and then before bed. And I have noticed just a major difference in aches and pains that you get from obviously a lot of exercise, running, day to day, you name it. So, yeah, it's really cool. I've been working with them too. I love it. And then I also have been taking and adding into my routine Symbiotica, the glutathione. If you have been following me, you know that I always get my glutathione shots monthly, but I've been taking this as oral supplement as well, and it's for gut and skin support. I absolutely love it and have noticed such a massive difference in just the body. Let's say that skin health, it's a natural detoxification and gut health. Fuego. Is that it for? That was a short one. Yeah. Like I said, today has been one of those episodes where I have just powered through, but I think it was really great and informative, and hope you all liked it. Make sure I don't know if you're listening on Spotify or if you're listening on YouTube, but follow, comment, like, subscribe, do all the things. Follow me on Instagram at Fit with Jess Rose, CD as in man, CD as in David. And yeah, it looks like this is the end of the episode. I had fun. These were great topics. They were informative and all kind of came together at the end. But I love y'all so much. Make sure to continue to follow along with the weekly warm up podcast on Spotify and YouTube. Make sure to follow me on Instagram. And if you need a little bit of running, coaching, and mentorship, you know where to find me. You're strong, you're capable, you're healthy, you're worthy. And that's that.